Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our nursing and midwifery webinar. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. If someone is just able to let me know that you can hear me, maybe in the chat box, that would be great just before we move on. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Pauline. So I will introduce us. Hang on. Sorry, computer's a little slow this morning. There we go. So my name is Bex and I work here as part of the Education Pathways team. So we've been producing webinars to help you think about your options and sort of what courses are available next year. And Chelsea's joining me today. Chelsea is a current student here who's studying nursing. And so she's going to give you a little insight into studying what it is like to study here at Flinders. So we're going to talk for around 25 minutes today. If you're able to keep your cameras and your microphone switched off, that really helps us just so that there isn't any feedback. There is a chat box and it will come up along the bottom as one of the options. If you have any questions for us or any feedback, or if there's any issues with sound or video, please feel free just to let us know or type your questions. If we are talking, then we'll get to the questions as soon as we can. So the information today is intended for domestic applicants. If you are an international student, then a lot of the course information is going to be the same, but the information at the end about how to apply is going to be a little bit different. So just bear that in mind. And as I said, if there's any issues with the sound or the video, then just let us know and we'll do what we can to try and troubleshoot that for you. Okay, so we'll get started. So in today's session, we're going to cover all of these things. We're going to look at why you would consider studying nursing or midwifery here at Flinders. We're going to go over what you will study within the course. We're going to look at some of the course highlights and some of the career opportunities that come with nursing and midwifery. We're going to hear from our current student, Chelsea. And then we're going to look at the entry requirements and how you can apply for these courses. As I've said, there is also the opportunity to ask questions. So if there is anything you want to know that we haven't covered, then just type it in the chat box and we will do everything we can to answer your questions. Okay, so we will kick off and show you what nursing looks like. So here at Flinders, our nursing and midwifery degrees are nationally and internationally recognised. We're really lucky. We are number one in South Australia. We're also within the top 100 across the whole world for our nursing degrees. This means that we're really well known in the industry. We are at the forefront for nursing and midwifery education, which puts you ahead, which is a definite advantage if you are considering Flinders. Both of these degrees lead you to, they're both accredited degrees and they can lead you to your registration within nursing and within midwifery. Both degrees are structured so that you obtain all of the theoretical knowledge that you need for both industries. You're also gaining the practical hands-on skills that you need, and you are also gaining the relevant exposure that you need into the industry, which is done within placement, and you do placement within each of the 3 years of your degree. So placement equips you with your practical experience in both of these different contexts. You'll also have the chance to learn and study, to study and learn from award-winning clinicians, professors, researchers, so you're getting the most up-to-date sort of cutting-edge knowledge and literature. And we are really lucky to have fantastic facilities here at Flinders, and I'm sure Chelsea will talk about that a little bit in a minute. We have a mock hospital here, which is where you will do most of your training, and that prepares you for sort of real life experience. So when you go on your placement, hopefully it's a familiar environment to you, because placement's scary enough. At least if it's familiar surroundings, then you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable. We can use that mock hospital as a real life hospital should there ever be a pandemic just like the one we're in. And so they really are the most cutting edge facilities that you can study in. Okay, we're going to talk about the different degrees that are available here at Flinders. We have two different types of nursing degrees. One of them is offered in Adelaide, and the other is offered in the Riverland. So if you are living in a regional area, we do offer the course in the Riverland as well. And we also, of course, have the Bachelor of Midwifery. Studying in the Riverland will give you that distinct rural focus on rural health. It also gives you the opportunity to expand your professional competencies, your resourcefulness, and your flexibility. You can also choose, if it's of interest, you can choose to combine either the nursing or midwifery degrees with the Bachelor of Letters. The Bachelor of Letters is designed to provide you with an avenue to pursue your passions and gain more skills that make you more employable by undertaking further studies in a second subject area. So in this case, we're looking at health. So you can study nursing and health together. Health includes healthy aging, it includes disability, nutrition, and also health education and promotion. It's normally studied part-time over 3 years, so concurrently with your bachelor's degree. You can study nursing or midwifery full-time or part-time, and Chelsea's studying part-time, so she'll give you a little insight into what that looks like. We have evening classes as well. We also have a dual offer pathway, which again Chelsea's going to chat a little bit more about, which is where we offer the degree in conjunction with TAFE SA, and so you can apply for the TAFE SA qualification and the Flinders Bachelor degree at the same time, where you can study your enrolled nursing first and then come to Flinders and finish off studying your registered nursing on top. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but that's 3.5 years full-time. Is that right? Yeah, 3.5 years full-time if you wanted to do it that way. So nursing, what are the career opportunities looking like for nursing? Well, the Bachelor of Nursing is accredited by the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council. Graduates can apply for their registration with the nursing board as registered nurses. And then that means that nurses can apply for competitive programs in public and private hospitals to assist in their first year of practice with clinical rotations and educational support throughout their progression. So lots of the areas that nurses will go into are up here on the screen, including medical and surgical areas, emergency departments, pediatric and cardiac care, mental health, aged care, and community health and general practice as well. And midwifery. So these are the career opportunities that midwives might go into. Again, the course is accredited and graduate registered nurses can apply for competitive programs in both public and private hospitals. And you're able to apply for your registration as a midwife as well at the end of the course. And midwives can work in group practice, antenatal education, community health, public and private hospitals as well. There's lots of different areas that our midwives will go into. Okay, now this is what the nursing course looks like. It is a 3-year course. And there is placement included within each of your 3 years. You start by doing an introduction to nursing and professional topics, and I think, is that what you're currently, you just finished?
I've just finished.
Just finished doing those topics. And then you move on to topics in Indigenous health and culture, psychosocial perspectives of healthcare, physical dimensions of being human. What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
It's just learning about like anatomy and physiology.
Anatomy, I was going to say anatomy. And physical and mental health as well as doing placement. In your second year, you do more topics in understanding people and understanding healthcare, pathophysiology. So what's pathophysiology?
Haven't got to second year yet.
And pharmacology, dynamics of practice, clinical governance, and integrating theory and practice as well, again with another placement opportunity. And then in your third year, you are sort of bringing it all together, looking at dynamics of practice, transition to professional practice, again with more placement. If you are interested in finding out more about exactly what the topics look like, then all of this information is available on the website. If you click on the webpage, scroll down, and there'll be that yellow View Study Program box. If you click on that one, it'll bring up all of the topics that are available, and then you can click on each of the individual topics, and it'll tell you a little bit more about what that topic includes, but also the timetable, and sort of how many contact hours and those sorts of things. So you can get all of that in-depth information on the website.
I think pathology is all about bloods and stuff like that, so it'll be based around pathophysiology is based around bloods and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. That's a hard one to say. Pathophysiology. You can practice it 100 times. I still can't get it right. And so midwifery, this is what the course program looks like. Again, it's 3 years, and you will have clinical placement topics in each of your 3 years. You start with context of midwifery practice, foundation sciences, and professional skills, as well as looking at perinatal mental health, anatomy, physiology, and Indigenous health as well. In your second year, you look at nutrition, evidence for practice and research, clinical pharmacology, clinical services, applied pharmacology as well as placement in the second year. And again, third year, you're looking at working in communities, care for women with complex needs, and professional midwifery practice, again tied with placement as well. And I think the placements get a little bit longer each year as well, which is something to bear in mind. Again, if you want more information about what those topics looks like, the contact hours and those sorts of things, then you can click on that View Study Program box, and it'll bring up absolutely everything that you need. So now we're going to hear from Chelsea, a current nursing student who's studying here at Bedford Park. So we know what you're studying. What year are you in?
Yeah, so as Bex has mentioned, I'm doing the Bachelor of Nursing. I did the dual offer pathway, so I actually started through TAFE, and then you get guaranteed entry into the Bachelor of Nursing at Flinders. So I've completed my enrolled nursing through TAFE, and then I get a year's credit coming into the Bachelor's. But the credit kind of goes between first and second year topics. So I've started this year with a few first year topics, and then I've got a second year topic coming up in October. So from next year onwards, I'll be straight into second year. So I've only done 3 first year topics this year, and then I'm straight into second year topics next year. So and I'm, as Bex mentioned also, I'm studying part-time, so I actually work full-time, but I work 9 to 5 generally, but they have evening classes as well. So usually tutorials and that run for about 3 hours. Don't have many lectures. It's more sort of like tutorials and stuff with nursing. If you were to do your first year of nursing, you'd do a lot of like simulation sort of stuff in the labs and that, but because I did the enrolled nursing first, I kind of skipped that part because I did a lot of that through the TAFE side of things. So it's really good, I guess, doing all the lab work and really hands-on and everything like that.
So just to throw another question at you,
Yep.
How are you finding the workload of working full-time and studying on top? Is it manageable?
I find it manageable. I'm only doing 2 topics per semester. The first semester was a bit crazy because I was actually just finishing off the last bit of TAFE before I started nursing here at Flinders. It was a bit full on. I had 2 topics at once, plus finishing off a bit at TAFE, but then this semester I'm only doing 2 topics and they don't run at the same time, so I'm only really doing 1 topic at a time, and I find that that's really easy to manage. You probably do about 10 hours of independent study and then like a 3-hour tutorial, and that's your week basically. Obviously you've got to get assignments done, which can take up a bit more time, but doing the pre-readings and getting all the pre-activities before class and stuff, you'd be looking at less than 10 hours per topic a week.
Okay. So why did you choose to go into nursing?
So I've been working in administration for about 10 years now, and I was just looking for something that was a bit different. My mum, she's a nurse as well, and we're quite similar in personalities, and so I thought I'd just give it a go and see how I went, and that's kind of why, like, I was a bit unsure at first, so that's why I decided to go the TAFE pathway, just to see if I liked it, and then could finish the diploma first, and then if I decided I didn't want to continue, then that's fair enough, but then I really enjoyed it, so that's why I decided to continue studying here at Flinders.
Okay. So you've talked about your entry pathway going through TAFE, and when you apply for a dual offer, you apply for both the TAFE part and the Flinders part at the same time. So you get your place in the TAFE course, but you also get a place reserved in a Flinders course in a couple of years' time, and you're guaranteed to get into that. So even though you're sort of starting somewhere else, you've already got your place held at Flinders, which is another good pathway into it if you wanted to start in enrolled nursing, as Chelsea said.
However, if you know it's for you, then I'd be going straight for the bachelor's. So it just depends on sort of where you're at in life and what you're doing.
What you know you want to do.
Yeah.
So highlights of your studies so far.
I think the main thing is, like, it's a really hands-on course. That's what I really like about it most. Getting in the labs, getting hands-on. Not everything is all theory-based, so a lot of it is practical. So that's one of the main highlights. I've also just found, like, the tutors here really helpful. So if you've got any questions, you can always ask them, and they're always there to help. They're the main things, I guess. And just the campus in general, I think. Like, it's just such a pretty campus here. So, make the most of it. Go for walks around the lake, and it's really good.
We are really lucky with this campus. We're sort of a little bit further away from the city than the other couple of unis, but it gives us that amazing opportunity to have this campus. So it's a little bit quieter. You'll have koalas, maybe kangaroos on campus, so you can sit and watch the ocean in the distance.
The famous ducks.
The famous ducks that we have on campus. The nursing simulation labs are just sort of 10 minutes down the hill. They are connected to this main hub that we have here, and it is a really fantastic place to study. There's so many places that you can sit and just chill and relax. And then sort of still be connected with Flinders, which is pretty cool. Do you have any advice for future students?
The main thing is probably just to give it a go. If you think this is what you want to do, then just jump straight in and give it a go. Always be prepared to talk up in class, because as a nurse you're going to have to get used to talking to patients, and so that's one of my biggest advice to give you, is to make sure that you are participating, because it does really help. What else? Make the most of all the Flinders services as well. So we actually offer, the uni offers Studiosity, so if you need help with your assignments or anything like that, or you just want somebody to check over it and give you some advice, then I always submit my assignments to Studiosity. I find that really helpful. As long as you do it like a week in advance, then it gives you time to read over your assignments as well, and then make any changes that you need. Also, just the student services, so the student support services, they're really helpful as well. If you need any help with maths, or so you need to obviously do drug calculations and stuff like that, so they're always there to help with that sort of stuff, as well as academic writing. I think they're the main things.
Referencing, and that the student student lounge, student learning centre are there to help with sort of referencing and that side of it, and there's a pharmacy on campus, there's a doctor's clinic on campus, there's counsellors, so there's sort of the health and well-being side of support as well. There's financial support, and FUSA, the Students Association, offer grants and things to help you, people who need a bit of extra financial support and those sorts of things. So there's as Chelsea said, there's so much help on campus for students who just reach out and ask for that help.
I think also, obviously, in your first year, you get to go on placement. So yeah, obviously that's a good opportunity as well to make sure like this is the career for you. And if it's not, then there's always that option to do an internal transfer if it's not something that you decide that you want to continue with. And that's really easy to do here as well.
Absolutely. There's a team of people here to help you with sort of changing courses, and in the first year a lot of students will be sort of changing courses as they sort of figure out what they want to do, so that is always an option as well. Fantastic. So because of COVID this year, studying at university looked a little bit different. The majority of learning was put online so students could continue learning but stay at home where it was safe. And as such, a lot of a lot of the sort of platforms online are there to continue things being online. With nursing, a lot of the practical stuff is obviously you need to be in the labs.
Yeah, so this year I've come into it and obviously COVID hit, so it's been very different. But all of my topics have basically been online because most of my topics are theory based. But the practical side of things, when you're doing the labs and stuff like that, you come into campus for those still. So you still get that hands-on experience with those sort of things. The topics that I'm currently studying are more the theory-based side topics. So we've been using Collaborate online. But the tutors are really good. Like they get you really involved in Collaborate. They split you off into groups, and you do like group discussions, and then you come back and report back to the full group. And they do like polls and all different things to keep you sort of engaged. Yeah, it's good.
And obviously we just don't quite know at the moment how long we're going to have to continue working with lots of things being online. Fingers crossed, touch wood, we can sort of get back to normal next year. But that having that facility to put everything online makes things a little bit easier, can take a little bit of pressure off as well. But as Chelsea said, just with nursing, a lot of the practical stuff is going to be in person and is going to be done in the lab as well. We do have a question. Do you mind if I throw a question at you?
Sure.
Hi Chelsea, do you find working full-time and doing placement difficult? Are there options to do placement after hours or weekends? Good question.
I think I'm pretty lucky because my work is quite flexible. They allow me to take sort of unpaid leave if I need. Most of the time you will need to work during the day, so you can't really do just evenings, but I mean you can always talk to the placement team and try and arrange something with them, whether the place that they get put maybe allows them to do more evenings than day shifts. But it just depends on the workplace, I think, your workplace, but I've found it manageable, and especially doing part-time, it doesn't mean that like I'm not doing generally I'm not doing 2 placement topics in a year, so I usually just do one of my placement topics per year. So you're looking at like, I think in your first year there's a 2-week placement, so it's not too bad. And then the second year you've got 2 lots of 4-week placements, and then the third year you've got 2 lots of 6-week placements. So if you're looking to do it part-time, then you could look at doing like a 4-week placement in your second year, and then that second year, obviously you're meant to do 2 lots of 4, but if you're doing it part-time, you could do the next 4-week placement the following year, if that makes sense. I don't know if that helps at all.
To space them out a little bit, are there night shifts during placements? Are the placements generally 8-hour days?
Yeah, so I think you'll get a real mix. They try to give you some morning shifts and some afternoon shifts, and you might get thrown in a couple of night shifts as well, but maybe not in your first placement. It might be like in the later years. Yeah. Yeah, because unfortunately, like as a nurse, that is part of the role, so they're trying to really open your eyes up to what to expect, sort of thing.
The other thing with placement is that can be quite tiring, particularly I guess in the first ones where it's sort of new to you, the sort of work you're being on your feet all day and that kind of thing. If it's not something you're used to, it might be quite tiring. So it might be something to sort of bear in mind if you are trying to manage a workload. But
so far I haven't had to do any night duties, only morning and afternoon shifts. So that's probably what you'll be looking at for the first sort of maybe 2 years, but maybe in that third year you might be thrown into a few night shifts.
But the topic coordinators here are really nice and are approachable, and you can absolutely sit and have that chat with them. And it might be that it can be even more flexible. It just sort of depends at the time.
If you get a good placement, and they're really helpful, you could sit down with them and create your timetable together, sort of thing.
Yeah. These are the requirements for nursing. It's both 3 years full-time courses. They both start in sort of end of February, March next year. There's no mid-year entry for nursing, and that's because of the way that the topic, you sort of have to navigate one topic before the other. So it is starting at the beginning of next year. The ATAR is around 62 to get into nursing. If your ATAR is 75, then you're guaranteed to get a spot. If it's 70, if you're looking at the Riverland course, then the entry requirements are slightly lower, and that's because they're not quite as competitive out in the region. If you've got a certificate 4 or above, if you've done your diploma, then you're guaranteed a spot in the nursing course as well, which is something to bear in mind. That certificate 4 doesn't have to be in nursing. If you've done a certificate 4 in hairdressing, it just shows that the level of education you've been able to obtain means that you're going to succeed at uni, and so that is something to bear in mind as well. With nursing as well, there is an English language requirement. And there's a few ways that you can meet this requirement. So if English is your primary language, if you've been studying at school, if you've done your schooling in English in one of the countries listed here, and 2 of those years are at a secondary level, then you will meet the requirement. If you've sat the IELTS test, the English language test, and achieved a 7 in your writing, speaking, reading, and listening, then that means you meet the requirements. If you also have a current enrolled nurse registration, then you will already meet those requirements as well. There is more information on this on the website. We have another couple of questions, but I'm just going to skip through the next one just first before we talk about those. So this is the midwifery course. Again, 3 years full-time or part-time equivalent. Again, starting in March or end of February next year. Now the ATAR is quite high for midwifery, and that's because it is a very competitive course. It's not because it's difficult or a lot harder, it's just because there are fewer places and lots of people going for those places, and so because it is a higher ATAR, there is no guaranteed entry rank. If you have an advanced diploma with TAFE, then you are able to get a spot in midwifery, and again, more information online if you need more information. What are we looking at here? So these are the pathway options. So if the ATAR is a little bit scary, then these are the other courses that we would recommend putting down in your preferences. I know we've had a question about different preferences. So if you're looking at midwifery, then health science, the Bachelor of Health Science is a good second preference. The required ATAR, I think, for health science is off the top of my head, I think it's 60 or 70, and so it's quite a bit lower, but what that does is it allows you to jump into another course and generate another GPA, which is you get a clean slate. We don't use your school results after you've got into a course. You use your university results, and then you can use that to transfer into midwifery. Nursing is another backup, general studies, and then foundation studies is another way to sort of get you on that pathway. And the same for nursing, you could put health sciences down, you could put science down, and you can put general studies as well. But if you did jump into another course, as I said, you will generate something called a GPA, grade point average, and that is what you use to transfer into different courses. And so that is how people shift and sort of change their courses as they go through their degree.
In order to get a GPA, you just need to complete 6 months of full-time study, so 4 topics, and then from that GPA, then you can
then transfer. So if you were doing it part-time and you were doing 2 topics, it would take you a year to generate your GPA. So it just depends on how much study you were doing. We have had a few questions. The last one is there a set time of year for placements? Do students have to find their own placement?
The placement team, I believe, will organise your placements for you. So there's no specific times. If you go online to the Flinders, Bachelor of Nursing and then the study program, if you click on the placement topics, it will actually show you what times they did it this year. Obviously, it might be slightly different next year, but they tend to run quite similarly. I don't know if I said the word. Each year. So if you click on the placement topic, and then you can, if you scroll to the bottom, it's got the different sort of, what do you call it? It's got the different options as to when you can do your placement. So you can pick. There's more than one option. So I think for my placement topic next year, I think I'm looking at either a March date, or I'm looking at maybe an April date, or otherwise
Jen.
Or otherwise I'm looking at maybe a May date. So and usually runs for about 4 weeks. So you can pick between a few different sort of dates. It doesn't have to be one set sort of date.
And I guess that's the same if you're doing full-time and part-time.
Yeah. But obviously placement is a full-time thing. So even if you're studying part-time, then you have to do the 4-week block generally.
I'm just reading through more questions. Do you know the scores required to apply via the Foundation Studies course? So Foundation Studies is the preparation course that you can do that allows you to get into courses at Flinders. It is, they say 6 months, is probably more like 4 months of study, and you can start either beginning of next year or the middle of next year. There are, at the end of it, if you're successful, there are a list of guaranteed courses that you are guaranteed a spot in. Nursing isn't one of them, but you are able to apply based on how well you did in foundation studies to apply into nursing. There's not set scores based on how well you've done in foundation studies. So I can't tell you what you would need to get to be able to get into nursing. It is something that they do look favourably on people who have done foundation studies, and that's because it is a preparation course. They go through numeracy, literacy, referencing,
academic writing.
All those sorts of things that you need to be able to succeed at university. And so it is, they do look favourably on people who have done foundation studies, but the best advice we could give you really is to just try and do as well as you can at foundation studies, and then it really will open up lots of doors to you. What's guaranteed? Health sciences are guaranteed. So it would be science is something that is guaranteed. You would be guaranteed a spot in science, and then you could start in a course, in a science course, and then transfer later on. But you could put nursing or midwifery even down as a second preference, or as a first preference, and then put your guaranteed one as a second preference. So you've got both options, and then if you just missed out on getting a spot in nursing, you jump into another preference through foundation studies, and then you can still end up in nursing later on. I didn't explain that very well. Hopefully that sort of made sense.
Although that nursing's not guaranteed via foundation studies, I think as long as you do well, then they'll definitely look at that as an option.
Can you specialise in a particular area of nursing during the degree, or is this something you complete after?
Something you complete after. So the Bachelor of Nursing is very generalised, and the topics are like all core topics. So there's no electives. Everybody studies the same thing.
But it is possible to do postgraduate study where you can sort of be more selective as to what area of nursing you want to go into.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't explain that very well, but if anyone doesn't have any more questions, just type them in and I'll do my best to answer. So how to apply? Applications are open now for courses next year. You apply through SATAC, which is the South Australian Tertiary Admissions Centre. They manage all of the university applications for all of the universities in South Australia. So whichever university you might be looking at going to, SATAC is where you will apply. So applications open now. They are open, they soft close on the 30th of September. You can apply after this date, but they stick on a great big late fee, which you just don't need to pay. So we definitely recommend getting your applications in before the end of September. You will get up to 6 preferences. You can shift your preferences around as many times as you want to, all the way up until I think it's the beginning of January. And so you can put your applications in now and worry about your preferences later, just to avoid paying that late fee. And here we are. Here we have the date. So applications open in August. They close at the end of September. They are still open after that date. If you do miss out, you just will pay a little bit, quite a lot more, which is a real pain, and we have no control over. School results come out in mid-December, and the change of preference deadline is the 7th of January. So you can shift your preferences around up until the 7th of January. You're able to call us as well. I'll put the details up in a second, and we can help you sort through your preferences and talk about your results and sort of what to put in there to make sure you get to where you want to get to. Offers come out in January they start coming out in January. They roll through up until March, up until the course starts in March. That's the late fee. So if you're a Year 12 student and you apply before the end of September, it's $45. Afterwards, it's $185, which is a huge increase. If you're not currently a Year 12 student, then the applications cost $85, and again they go up to $225 after the end of September. So get those applications in soon and worry about preferences later on. We have a long list of webinars coming up here at Flinders. We have a medicine one on Thursday this week. If you want more information about how to apply, they'll do a step-by-step going through the SATAC application with you, and that's on Friday, next Friday. Then we have an allied health webinar next Wednesday, trying to work out my dates in my head, next Wednesday. And then if you are thinking about doing the STAT test, which is another one of the entry pathways, then that's on Friday the 2nd of October in the afternoon. Just make sure you jump on the website and register. I was going to say register for the webinars, just so we can get those links out to you as to how to join. And as I said, you can contact us here at any point. You can call us, you can email us, you can live chat with us now on the website, and it does come to our team. I promise we're not robots, and you can do that anytime between 9 and 5. And if you wanted to book either a phone appointment or come in and speak to someone in person, we can do face-to-face appointments now as well. You can request that online and then set up a time where you can chat to one of our advisors one-on-one. And we'd love to hear your feedback. I can put a link to the feedback in the chat box in a minute. But if there's anything you think we should have covered, then let us know and we can sort that out for next time. So I think that's about all we've got time for. If anyone does have any more questions, please put them in the chat box. I'll turn the camera and the microphone off, but we'll stay here and we're able to chat with you as long as you have questions for us. I will go through and make sure we haven't missed any questions as well. So thank you for joining us today. I hope that's been useful, and hopefully we'll see you again soon at one of our upcoming webinars.